New Black Wall Street Book Club. Evan Jefferson, brother, much love. Educating, elevating, because in knowledge is the power and we'll never give it up. Literature that's for the masses. Where to put your money down, now how to watch your assets. Yeah, uplifting others is a passion. My brother Evan, he will turn it into action. New Black Wall Street Book Club. You should come read with us. Yeah, we comprehend and discuss. If we all just come together, there's no limit for us. Here comes your host, New Black Wall Street. Evan, take it away. New Black Wall Street Book Club.
All right. Good evening to you, beautiful people. Thanks so much for joining us here today on the New Black Wall Street Book Club After Dark edition. I'm your host, ERGJ. Just checking my audio here. Tonight, we are going to be, I think Sunday nights, I want to do more of a freestyle. We're going to be hopping into a reading from an author named James Allen called From Poverty to Power. Now, this is the same author who wrote the book, As a Man Thinketh. And I know many times you may have heard of that book, but there's another piece of this that he's written. It's really short story form that we can kind of cover over the next few sessions. So at any rate, we're going to be talking tonight about the power from poverty to power, and we'll be in a part one, the path of prosperity, and it'll be a lesson of evil, lesson on evil. You guys hit the like button, share button, all that good stuff. Tag people, let us know who's here. Also, let us know who's joining us here tonight, as we are returning back here to continue to bring some consistency to what we do here with our New Black Wall Street Book Club After Dark series. We talk about a lesson of evil. Let us know where you're connecting from, what city, what state, what country. What's going on? Miss Vivian Reed is in the house. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. What city, what state, what country you might be connected from here tonight. Let us know. We are from here in Decatur, Georgia, where it's greater. And just let us know how far our reach is here tonight. I'm kind of rushing because I want to get right into our reading here tonight, and people can catch up as they may. Now, I will not read the foreword and all this stuff from the author. We're going to get right into our lesson tonight, which is we're in the book From Poverty to Power, and tonight's lesson is going to be it's called the first chapters or first subsection. It's called the lesson of evil. Now, I thought this might be very interesting here to see what this author is going to share with us as it relates to this particular topic, the lesson of evil. What's going on with you, Miss Amanda? How are you? Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. So I'm not going to belabor too much, guys. You can find us on BBC TV. That is our Facebook page where we have collaborated content creators. We collaborate to bring some good, solid content for our people. So if that's important to you, then you can kind of follow that page and get financial stuff, get reading stuff, get stuff to help you with your mental, with your whole being whole. So the lesson of evil. Now, this might be a little difficult to read, but I think as we get through it and get more towards the middle end, we start to hear some things from the author that might help us, and we begin to understand. New Black Wall Street Book Club, the After Dark session, where we spend some time at night to get our everlasting mind right. Hey, let's get right into it, guys. Let's read. Let me change that real quick. Let me change that. All right, fantastic. The lesson of evil. Again, this is from James Allen, the author who also wrote As a Man Thinketh, and this is the book titled From Poverty to Power. And this section that we're reading tonight is the lesson of evil. Let's read. Unrest and pain and sorrow are the shadows of life. There's no heart in all the world that has not felt the sting of pain, no mind that has not been tossed upon the dark waters of trouble, no eye that has not wept the hot, blinding tears of unspeakable anguish. There's no household where the great destroyers, disease and death have not entered, severing heart from heart and casting over all the dark pall of sorrow. And the strong and apparently indestructible meshes of evil, all are more or less fast caught, and pain, unhappiness, and misfortune wait upon humankind. With the object of escaping or in some way mitigating this overshadowing gloom, men and women rush blindly into innumerable devices, pathways by which they fondly hope to enter into a happiness that will not pass away. Such are those who revel in sensual excitements. Such are the exclusive aesthetes who shut themselves out from the sorrows of the world and surround themselves with the enervating luxuries. such as those who thirst for wealth or fame or subordinate all things to the achievement of that object. And such are those who seek consolation in the performance of religious rites. And to all, the happiness sought seems to come, and the soul for a time is lulled into a sweet security of an intoxicating forgetfulness of the existence of evil. But the day of disease comes at last, and some great sorrow, temptation, or misfortune breaks suddenly in on the unfortified soul, and the fabric of its fancied happiness is torn to shreds. So over the head of every personal joy hangs a Damoclean sword of pain, ready at any moment to fall and crush the soul of those who are unprotected by knowledge. The child cries to be a man or woman. The man and woman sigh for the lost felicity of childhood. The poor chafe under the chains of poverty by which they are bound, and the rich often live in fear of poverty or scour the world in search of an elusive shadow they call happiness. Sometimes the soul feels that it is found a secure peace and happiness in adopting a certain religion and embracing an intellectual philosophy, or in building up an intellectual or artistic ideal, but some overpowering temptation proves the religion to be inadequate or insufficient. The theoretical philosophy is found to be a useless prop, or in a moment, the idealistic statue upon which the devotee has for years been laboring is shattered into fragments. Is there then no way to escape from pain and sorrow? Are there no means by which the bonds of evil may be broken? Are permanent happiness, security, prosperity, and abiding peace just a foolish dream? No, there is a way, and I speak it with gladness, by which evil can be overcome. Everybody put in comments on overcome. There's a way by which evil can be overcome. There's a process by which disease, poverty, or any adverse condition or circumstance can be put on one side, never to return. There's a method by which a permanent prosperity can be secured, free from all fear of the return of adversity, and there's a practice by which unbroken and unending peace and bliss can be partaken of and realized. The beginning of the way that leads to this glorious realization is the acquisition of a right understanding of the nature of evil. It is not sufficient to deny or ignore evil. It must be understood. It is not sufficient to deny or ignore evil. It must be understood. It must be understood. It's not enough to pray to God or to remove the evil. You must find out why it is there and what lesson it has for you. It is of no avail to fret and fume and chafe at the chains that bind you. You must know why and how you are bound. Therefore, you must get outside yourself. Everybody putting comments below, get outside myself. You must get outside yourself and must begin to examine and understand yourself. You must cease to be a disobedient child in the school of experience and must begin to learn with humility and patience the lessons that are set for your edification and ultimate perfection. For evil, when rightly understood, is found to be not an unlimited power or principle in the universe, but a passing phase of human experience. It is therefore becomes a teacher to those who are willing to learn. Evil is not an abstract something outside yourself. It is an experience in your own heart. And by patiently examining and rectifying your heart, you will gradually be led into the discovery of the origin and nature of evil, which will necessarily be followed by its complete eradication. All evil is corrective and remedial and is therefore not permanent. It is rooted in ignorance of the true nature and relation of things. And so long as we remain in a state of ignorance, we remain subject to evil. There's no evil in the universe which is not the result of ignorance and which would not, if we were ready and willing to learn this lesson, lead us to higher wisdom and then vanish away. But people remain in evil, and it does not pass away because they're not willing or prepared to learn the lesson that it came to teach them. People remain in evil, and it does not pass away because they are not willing or prepared to learn the lesson that it came to teach them. How many guys have found in your life, as you have dealt with, some form of evil, that has actually come to teach you a lesson? I think we also hear from Napoleon Hill that in every failure, there's the equivalent benefit of success or something like that. There's a seed of equivalent benefit towards success, something like that. At any rate, I knew a child who every night when his mother took it to bed, cried to be allowed to play with the candle. And one night when the mother was off guard for a moment, the child took hold of the candle. The inevitable result followed. The child never wished to play with the candle again. But as one foolish act, it learned perfectly the lesson of obedience and entered into the knowledge that fire burns. And this incident is a complete illustration of the nature, meaning, and ultimate result of all sin and evil. As the child suffered through his own ignorance of the real nature of fire, so older children suffer through their ignorance of the real nature of the things which they weep for and strive after, and which harm them when they are secure. The only difference being that in the latter case, the ignorance and evil are more deeply rooted and obscure. Evil has always been symbolized by darkness and good by light. And hidden within the symbol is contained the perfect interpretation, the reality. For just as light always floods the universe, and darkness is only a mere speck or shadow cast by a small body intercepting a few rays of the immutable light, so the light of the supreme good is the positive and life-giving power which floods the universe. And evil, the insignificant shadow cast by the self that intercepts and shuts off the illuminating rays which strive for entrance. When night folds the world in its black impenetrable mantle, no matter how dense the darkness, it covers but the small space of half of our little planet, while the whole universe is ablaze with living light. And every soul knows that it will wake in the light in the morning. Know then that when the dark night of sorrow or pain or misfortune settles down upon your soul, and you stumble along with weary and uncertain steps, that you're merely intercepting your own personal desires between yourself and the boundless light of joy and bliss. And the dark shadow that covers you is cast by none and nothing but yourself. And just as the darkness without is but a negative shadow, and unreality which comes from nowhere goes to nowhere and has no abiding dwelling place, so the darkness within is equally a negative shadow passing over the evolving and light-born soul. But why pass through the darkness of evil at all? Because by ignorance you have chosen to do so. And because by doing so, you may understand both good and evil and may more appreciate the light by having passed through the darkness. As evil is the direct outcome of ignorance, so when the lessons of evil are fully learned, ignorance passes away and wisdom takes its place. But as a disobedient child refuses to learn its lesson at school, so it is possible to refuse to learn the lessons of experience, and thus to remain in continual darkness and to suffer continually recurring punishments in the form of disease, disappointment, and sorrow. Woo! Let me read that again. But as a disobedient child refuses to learn its lessons at school, so it is possible to refuse to learn the lessons of experience. Everybody put in the comments, experience. Lessons of experience. You've been through this before. You've experienced this before. But have you learned your lesson from it yet? Lessons of experience are thus to remain in continual darkness and to suffer continually recurring punishments in the form of disease, disappointment, and sorrow. If you wish to shake yourself free of the evil which encompasses you, you must be willing and ready to learn and must be prepared to undergo that disciplinary process without which no grain of wisdom or abiding happiness and peace can be secured. You may shut yourself up in a dark room and deny that the light exists, when it is everywhere without and the darkness exists only in this little room. So you may shut out the light of truth, or you may begin to pull down the walls of prejudice or self-seeking and error that you have built around yourself, and so let in the glorious and omnipresent light. By earnest self-examination, strive to realize and not merely hold as a theory that evil is a passing phase. Everybody put in console, this too shall pass. Evil is a passing phase, a self-created shadow that all your pains, sorrows, and misfortunes have come to you by a process of undeviating and absolutely perfect law. Have come to you because you deserve and require them. And that by first enduring and then understanding them, you may be made stronger, wiser, nobler. When you're fully entered into this realization, you will be in a position to mold your own circumstances, to transmute all evil into good, and to weave with the master hand the fabric of your destiny. Wow, I didn't realize I was going to run through that fast. That was real quick. So we'll do another one in a second, but let's talk about this. So this lesson of evil. Let me read this last little part again. Self-examination is a key word as well. But it says here, when you have fully entered into this realization, you will be in a position to mold your own circumstances, to transmute all evil into good, and to weave with a master hand the fabric of your destiny. And that is our little short. He writes little short stuff, but it's very powerful and short. So we'll pick up another one because I didn't realize we'll get done with that in like 15 minutes. So I thought, normally if it's 4 pages, 5 pages, take a little bit longer. So we're going to read one more section here. That's right out of Distilling the Poverty to Power. This is called The World, a Reflex of Mental States. Reflex of Mental States. Let me see if I can put this down here for you. The world, a reflex of mental states. The world, a reflex of mental states. This should be interesting. All right, so our second short story, right? The World, a Reflex of Mental States. Again, by the author James Allen, same author who wrote the book As a Man Thinketh. Okay, so the very, very well-known author. Okay. All right, let's read. The World, a Reflex of Mental States. What you are, so is your world. What you are, so is your world. Everything in the universe is resolved into your own inward experience. It matters little what is without, for it is all a reflection of your own state of consciousness. It matters everything what you are within, for everything without will be mirrored and colored accordingly. Let's read this again. What you are, so is your world. Everything in the universe is resolved into your own inward experience. It matters little what is without, for it is all a reflection of your own state of consciousness. That's where we get the term perception is reality. It matters everything what you are within, for everything without will be mirrored and colored accordingly. All that you positively know is contained in your own experience, and all that you will ever will know must pass through the gateway of experience and so become a part of yourself. Your own thoughts, desires, and aspirations comprise your world, and to you, all that there is the universe of beauty and joy and bliss, or of ugliness and sorrow and pain, are contained within yourself. By your own thoughts, you make or mar your life, your world, and your universe. As you build within by the power of thought, so will your outward life and circumstances shape themselves accordingly. Whatsoever you harbor in the innermost chambers of your heart will sooner or later, by the inevitable law of reaction, shape itself into your outward life. The soul that is impure, sordid, and selfish is gravitating with unerring precision toward misfortune and catastrophe. The soul that is pure, unselfish, and noble is gravitating with equal precision towards happiness and prosperity. Every soul attracts its own, and nothing can possibly come to it that does not belong to it. To realize that this is to recognize the universality of divine law. The incidents of every human life, with which both make and mar, are drawn to it by the quality and power of its own inner thought life. Every soul is a complex combination of gathered experiences and thoughts, and the body is but an improvised vehicle for its manifestation. What, therefore, your thoughts are, that is your real self. And the world around, both animate and inanimate, wears the aspect with which your thoughts clothe it. All that we are is a result of all that we have thought. It is founded on our thoughts, and it is made up of our thoughts. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. It is founded on our thoughts. It is made up of our thoughts. Thus said Buddha. And it therefore follows that if you are happy, it is because you dwell in happy thoughts. If miserable, because you dwell in despondent and debilitating thoughts. Whether one is fearless or fearless, foolish or wise, troubled or serene, within that soul lies the cause of its own state or states, and never without. And now I seem to hear a chorus of voices exclaim, but do you really mean to say that outward circumstances do not affect our minds? I do not say that, but I say this, and know it to be an infallible truth, that circumstances can only affect you insofar as you allow them to do so. Circumstances can only affect you insofar as you allow them to do so. You are swayed by circumstances because you are not you have not a right understanding of the nature, use, and the power of thought. You believe, and upon this little word belief, hang all our sorrows and joys, that outward things have the power to make or mar your life. By doing so, you submit to those outward things. Confess that you are their slave and they are your unconditional master. By so doing, you invest them with a power which they do not or of themselves possess, and you succumb in reality not to the mere circumstance, but to the gloom or gladness, the fear or hope, the strength or weakness which your thoughts fear has thrown around them. I knew two men who at an early age lost their hard-earned savings for years. One was very deeply troubled and gave way to chagrin, worry, and despondency. The other, on reading in his morning paper that a bank in which his money was deposited had hopelessly failed and that he had lost all, quietly and firmly remarked, "Well, it's gone, and trouble and worry won't bring it back, but hard work will." He went to work with a renewed vigor and rapidly became prosperous, while the former man, continuing to mourn the loss of his money and to grumble at his bad luck, remained the victim and tool of adverse circumstances, in reality of his own weak and slavish thoughts. The loss of money was a curse to the one because he clothed the event with dark and dreary thoughts. It was a blessing to the other because he threw around it thoughts of strength and hope and of renewed endeavor. If circumstances had the power to bless or harm, they will bless and harm all people alike. But the fact that the same circumstance will be alike good and bad to different souls proves that the good or bad is not in the circumstance, but only in the mind of those who encounter it. When you begin to realize this, you will begin to control your thoughts, to regulate and discipline your mind, and to rebuild the inward temple of your soul, eliminating all useless and superfluous material and incorporating into your being thoughts alone of joy and serenity, of strength and life, of compassion and love, of beauty and immortality. And as you do this, you'll become joyful and serene, strong and healthy, compassionate and loving, and beautiful with the beauty of immortality. And as we clothe events with the drapery of our own thoughts, so likewise do we clothe the objects of the visible world around us. And where one sees harmony and beauty, another sees revolting ugliness. An enthusiastic naturalist was one day roaming the country lanes in pursuit of his hobby, and during his rambles came upon a pool of brackish water near a farmyard. As he proceeded to fill a small bottle with the water for the purpose of examination under the microscope, he proclaimed with more enthusiasm than discretion to an uncultivated farm boy who stood close by upon the hidden and innumerable wonders contained in the pool, and concluded by saying, "Yes, my friend, within this pool is contained 100, nay, a million universes, had we but the sense or the instrument by which we could apprehend them." And the unsophisticated one ponderously remarked, "I know the water be full of tadpoles, but they be easy to catch." Where the naturalist, whose mind was stored with the knowledge of natural facts, saw beauty, harmony, and hidden glory, the mind unenlightened upon those saw only an offensive mud puddle. The wildflower that the casual wayfarer thoughtlessly tramples upon is to the spiritual eye of the poet an angelic messenger from the invisible. To the many, the ocean is but a dreary expanse of water on which ships sail and are sometimes wrecked. To the soul of the musician, it is a living thing. She hears in all of its changing moods divine harmonies. Where the ordinary mind sees disaster and confusion, the mind of the philosopher sees the most perfect sequence of cause and effect. And where the materialist sees nothing but endless death, the mystic sees pulsating internal life. And as we clothe both events and objects with our own thoughts, so likewise do we clothe the souls of others in the garments of our thoughts. The suspicious believe everybody to be suspicious. Liars feel secure in the thought that they are not so foolish as to believe that there is such a phenomenon as a strictly truthful person. The envious see envy in every soul. Misers think everybody is eager to get their money. Those who have subordinated conscience in the making of their wealth sleep with a revolver under their pillow, wrapped in the delusion that the world is full of conscienceless people who are eager to rob them. The abandoned sensualist looks upon the saint as a hypocrite. On the other hand, those who dwell in the loving thoughts see in all that which calls forth their love and sympathy. The trusting and honest are not troubled by suspicions. The good-natured and charitable who rejoice at the good fortune of others scarcely know what envy means. And those who have realized the divine within themselves recognize it in all beings, even in the beasts. That would be animals. Men and women are confirmed in their mental outlook because of the fact that by the law of cause and effect, They attract to themselves that which they send forth, and so come in contact with people similar to themselves. The old adage, birds of a feather flock together, has a deeper significance than generally attached to it. For in the thought world, as in the world of matter, each clings to its kind. Do you wish for kindness? Be kind. Do you ask for truth? Be true. What you give of yourself, you find. The world is a reflex of you. Everybody put in console, the world is a reflex. The world is a reflex of you. Now, if we sit and really think about that phrase, the world is a reflex of myself. Right? The world is a reflex of myself. And if I begin to examine how I look at the world, I may begin to realize the reality in which I created for myself. This is kind of deep. I mean, Ms. Vivian said it's deep, right? If you take some time to think about how you look at the world, how you view people, how you engage, how you talk, how you carry yourself, whatever the case may be, you may also find that the world is just reacting to you and what you give out. It's just giving you back what you give, right? You reap what you sow. So there are plenty of ways that we are sowing each and every day. You know, we're sowing with our thoughts. We're sowing with our words. We're sowing with our actions. We're sowing every day. We're even sowing with our personality. But have we really examined what I'm giving out? I mean, because it's easy to look at what you're getting back. I mean, that could be a way to do it as well. You could probably go in reverse osmosis and say, well, here's what I've been getting. So I must have been giving some of this stuff out in a sense, right? Right. So for example, let me give you an example. I mean, this example that just came to mind, right? I'm a very sarcastic person, right? I give sarcasm. And so people give it back to me. And I got to accept what I got to be able to accept what I dish out. I think it would be hypocritical of me to take offense to the sarcasm that people give me when I'm probably one of the most sarcastic people that's walking this earth, I think. I don't know. Right? So I take it in kind because that's what I give, and I understand I'm reaping what I sow. But what about the individual who dishes it but can't take it? And I'm pretty sure we've probably all been in that position at some point in our life. We could dish it, but we couldn't take it. And we don't realize, well, the world is just giving me back that which I give. The world is just giving me back that which I give. If you're one of those who are praying for and looking forward to a happier world beyond the grave, here's a message of gladness for you. You may enter into and realize that happy world now. It fills the whole universe. It is within you, waiting for you to find, acknowledge, and possess. What you have to do is to believe this. Simply believe it with the mind unclouded by doubt. Then meditate upon it till you understand it. You will then begin to purify and to build your inner world. Everybody put in console, purify. Purify. You'll begin to purify and to build your inner world. And as you proceed, passing from revelation to revelation, from realization to realization, you will discover the utter powerlessness of outward things besides the magic potency of a self-governed soul. As you pass from revelation to revelation and from realization to realization, you will discover the utter powerlessness of outward things besides the magic potency of a self-governed soul. So here tonight, guys, the New Black Wall Street Book Club, again, hopping into a book called From Poverty to Power. We first covered, the chapter titled The Lesson from Evil. What did you get from that? Right? The lesson from evil. What did you capture from that? What did you get from that? You know, that might be something you put in the comments below. It might be something you just say to yourself, man, here's what I took away from this thing here. As we talked about, evil and again, still the same premise here, self, what we're bringing upon ourselves, right? Self-examination, I think, is a key word that comes out of that for me. And we also covered this second subsection, the world is a reflex of mental states. As we think about what we think about, are we realizing that we're bringing about that to ourselves, that which we think about? and the world is a reflex. So let's move beyond victim mentality. Let's move beyond blame game, right? Let's move beyond that and just start saying, is it possible that I'm bringing this stuff on to myself, the good and the bad, right? It doesn't all. I mean, you reap what you sow. It could be you could be reaping a whole bunch of good stuff, a whole lot of blessings in your life right now. I'm not quite sure, but the world is a reflex. And so, I'm gonna do this on Sundays, guys. We still want to make sure we finish the law of success. I mean, the University of Success. So we'll be covering that tomorrow, 9:00 Eastern Standard Time. But the next time we come back to this book, From Poverty to Power, will be next Sunday. We're gonna get to a section called "The Way Out of Undesirable Conditions." The way out of undesirable conditions, and I'm just thinking about some people that I know that are in some undesirable conditions right now. And it's going to be a great, great thing for us to read for such a time as this. In the comments below, I'd love for you to share something that you learned today, some takeaway that you took from our readings here tonight. We don't do this just to do this. We do this to make a difference, and hopefully we made a difference in your life. We've discovered that, reading is important, but not just reading what we read is important as well. And it's some great, phenomenal books that have been written to give us greater insight into this thing we call society and we call the world that, it behooves us to tap into. And it probably won't be recommended to us, or it'll probably never be in the universities of institutional universities. But as we come across these gems, these treasures of literature that can help us change the way that we think, so we can therefore change our life, I think it's incumbent upon us to bring it to the forefront. So at some point we'll start to take recommendations, guys. We got quite a few books we'll be going through, and it's all for me. It's all centered around helping us, not you, helping us change the way that we think, so we can begin to change the results that we get out of this thing called life. We don't like the results. We got to go to the root of it, and it starts with our thoughts. Right, the world is a reflex. Well, I know I talk much faster than you type, but hopefully you guys got something out of it. We'll be back. We are getting back to consistency, which will be Sunday through Thursday nights at 9:00. So tomorrow we will pick up get back into the University of Success, which we've been making some great progress in. I don't know what lesson we're on there. We got 50 lessons there, and then we'll just do that. I'm your host, ERGJ, your certified global financial educator, CEO of ERGJ Enterprises, The Black Bazaar, international best-selling author of the book, The Black Billionaires Club. The book that wrote, guys, Study Black Wealth, study the 12 richest Black people in the world and how they built their wealth. And I just truly believe that if you want to be wealthy, that's a big if, but if you do, I recommend that you study wealthy people. Well, you can find a book that I wrote, guys, by simply going to the website, theblackbillionairesclub.com, theblackbillionairesclub.com. While you're there, you'll also see we're developing the BBC Mall as a place for you to be able to shop with your fellow brethren. And we also have, as you see, BBC TV, which is our collaboration with other content creators to bring the type of useful media that can help us to advance in our health and our wealth and our mental states. At any rate, guys, I want you guys to remember this, that it takes a village. It starts with us. Let's build as we climb together. We all we got, beautiful people. Matter of fact, we all we really need. And thank God, that's more than enough. I hope to see you guys tomorrow at 9:00 for our New Black Wall Street Book Club After Dark edition. Until that time, you know what time it is. Mr. DJ, hit the music.
It's the New Black Wall Street Book Club with your host Evan Jefferson. It's time for us to go. Yeah. Now you ain't gotta leave the computer, but we encourage you to get out there and learn and apply all the things you learn at the New Black Wall Street Book Club. Yeah. The New Black Wall Street. The New Black Wall Street Book Club.